My name is Byron Howard. I'm a director at Disney Animation Studios, and I directed, back in the day, Bolt with Chris Williams, Tangled with Nathan Greno, and most recently, Zootopia with Rich Moore. It's funny, it's not even in hindsight. I think when we knew that we were going to do it, when we knew that we were going to make that shift, everybody knew, myself included, that that was the right thing to do. There was no question at all, because one of the things we do in our story process is we iterate. We create version after version after version of these films to test new ideas. And I think it was about screening 5 that we had this sort of epiphany that we needed to make that shift. We had Nick as the main character for all of those versions, and he was great. He's the same character. He was very appealing. People loved him, but the problem was, because the world was so broken, the audience couldn't fall in love with the city. They couldn't root for the city to be healed because they hated it so much. They wanted Nick to just move out of Zootopia, because it was this horrible place that was broken, where predators had to wear tame collars and where they had a fairly miserable life. And when we really looked at it, it was feeling kind of dated. It was feeling like the bias that we were showing in the film was very much in your face, and it was very much almost like a civil rights film, rather than a more contemporary film where, through our research, we even discovered that bias in our modern day is much more dangerous when it's subtle, because you don't know it's there, or because you carry it yourself. And we thought that's a much more savvy, intelligent way to talk to a contemporary audience about the problem that we're all facing now, is finding ways to say, well, bias exists. It's out there. It's a natural human response to wanting to feel safe and protective. It's like, how do we, as animals ourselves, rise above that instinct to shy away from people who are different from us? How do we get past that, and how do we talk to each other about the fact that only by helping each other are we going to get past it? And that's when the film really took a leap, and that's where we figured out that message had to be carried by Judy, an optimist who thinks that she's above and beyond the bias problem. That's a problem that her parents have, and she's not going to have to deal with that anymore because she's figured herself out. But the fact that she understands later in the film that she's made a huge mistake and has hurt somebody, and then steps up and owns it, that's a massive thing for a character to do growth-wise. And so that's when the film really started to make sense, and that's when the message started to fit better. That's when the characters started to play better. That's when the world started to feel more like our own, because I think we ultimately want to create aspirational films that have a message but not feel like we're preaching to anybody. One of the great things I got to say about animation, and specifically about this film, was that since we were using animals as the characters, you weren't limited by any one character's race, gender, nationality, or political. It's like the fact that you're able to take animals of all species and poke some fun at animal stereotypes, and then later on in the film roll into some deeply significant ideas about how humans interact. I think the fact that the animals are a kind of a stand-in for our audience allows us to have Zootopia be a 21st century fable. A fable that allows people to see themselves, no matter where they come from in the world, no matter what race they are, or gender, or sexual orientation, or national background. People around the world saw themselves in the film. They saw themselves in Judy or Nick. They relate to the bullying. They relate to the problems in politics and the social issues. It was really interesting, because no matter where we went, different people from different countries would find different things from their own personal experiences that they would tell us that they found in the film. And that's perfect. That's exactly what the film needs to do, because the more universally we can speak to the audience, the better. Because we never want to be preachy. We never want to have this in-your-face message that feels pedantic, or like social messaging wrapped in entertainment. We want people to emotionally connect with the characters and find something of value to take out of the theater, just like you said. Because I can go see a comedy and appreciate it as a comedy, but the films that really last for me are ones that I walk out of the theater and I go, I feel enlightened a little bit. I feel better about myself or about what my world is because of what that piece of storytelling taught to me. And I think we learn so much from films now. Films are the way I think we all communicate and relate to each other, and the fact that they can speak so clearly to us through storytelling is a huge challenge and a huge gift. Because you're right, like Disney, I think, more than any other company, especially the animated films, are held to a very, very high standard, because I think people understand through their own history with the films that the company has made that these films are going to have a profound effect on themselves and their families. Like all of us, I think, in the Western world at least, grew up on Disney films. A lot of us make decisions in our lives based on what we see characters in films doing. Like I think, that's why films are such a powerful medium, is because you can sit back and watch a character, whether it's animated or not, move through their life and make decisions or mistakes or victories or suffer consequences and failures, and find ways to incorporate that into your own life. And I think because Disney is expected to produce material that's not just entertaining and not just pretty, but also emotionally significant and socially positive. I think that's why that's why I love where we work. I love having the limit. I love having those responsibilities on us that make us look very closely at the way we're telling stories. And I was really proud, to tell you the truth, that Disney in general, Bob Iger, Alan Horn, John Lasseter, Ed Catmull, all of these folks who could have said no to Zootopia didn't. They said, what a great idea to make a film about bias. And it's not a movie that, bias is not going to make you money. Bias is not going to sell toys. Bias is not going to be something you feature in a theme park. It was a movie that they thought was about something important and relevant. And I think because a lot of us growing up, I know I did, I looked at films like Lion King growing up that dealt with death of a family member, and that's tough. That's like one of the toughest things to deal with as a human being. And then when you talk about what people are experiencing today with bias and with problems with people being afraid of immigration and differences between different groups, it was so encouraging for me to see that this massive company that could have chosen to just go, we just want to make a piece of fluffy entertainment that'll make a lot of cash. They didn't do that. It's like they really support the fact that our job is to make the most honest movie possible, and that really is that's the end of it. Really, we just try to go, are we telling an honest story? Are we? Because we can feel it too. We can feel it in the story room if we're being fake or if we're doing something that feels artificial. And talking to the experts about, we had a wonderful professor working with us. Her name is Dr. Shakti Butler, and the stories and the people that she connected us with that told us these deeply affecting incidents of bias and discrimination allowed us to really feel that ourselves. And I think we learn a lot about ourselves as people, because I think I may have thought at the beginning of Zootopia when we were developing it that, people have bias pretty much figured out and the world's getting better. And now I really think it's something we got to watch. We got to keep our eye on it, because it's something that it just slips in and you don't see it. And just like Judy didn't see it at all, and it hurt her and it hurt Nick. And I think by the end of that, she knows that it's not something that you can just kind of put some icing on and solve it and make it all pretty and happy. And she knows that the world is a challenging place, and that's good. That's a good thing, because challenges are best met together. Challenges are best met with people that you love, with people you respect. And I think because we have a love of our audience, because our audience is our family, our audience is our people we love and respect. And I think because we love what Disney has done for us over the years, we want to put our films on that same level to deliver as much as we have gotten from them in the past.